Hi everyone, this manhwa is called Dungeon Reset. Our story starts with our protagonist Dawn at the bottom of a deep pit, impaled on metal spikes. There are other people above him that say that have to leave Dawn behind before running off. Dawn pulls out the metal rods, losing a lot of blood. How will he survive? 1 month ago, Dawn was just walking around his town when suddenly he is enveloped in light and pulled into another world along with plenty of other people. Suddenly a funny dressed rabbit appears wearing a top hat and a suit. The cute rabbit introduces everyone to the game before an angry man interrupts and demands to be sent back immediately. The rabbit tries to continue talking, however the man interrupts again, grabbing the rabbit, shouting and knocking his cute hat off. The rabbit exclaims that this is a dungeon game where you learn to die, and the first rule is to always be nice to the game guides. The rabbit then cuts the angry man's head clean off in front of everyone. The rabbit states that there's 100 people here, and they'll be starting now. Everyone starts running for their lives, while our protagonist is just coming to terms with the fact that this isn't a game and is real. The not-so-cute rabbit, well, who are we kidding, he's super adorable still. The rabbit gives everyone some random weapons before starting the dungeon game. Dawn sees countless people getting killed from traps and other monsters, but he escapes with a group of people. Dawn has an inventory screen up for storage and is getting pushed around by someone who got assigned the fighter class. The classes were assigned at the start of the game and most people have combat skills. However, Dawn's class simply says that he cleans dirty things and has a skill purification, so he's a non-combat type. Luckily, a nice man steps in and stops the fighter from being mean to Dawn with a scary look. After helping Dawn up, the nice man introduces himself as Sungwoo and tells Dawn to get some sleep because the guide said they'll reach the end point tomorrow, whatever that means. The next day the party is getting chased down by a boulder while the bunny guide flies above taunting the party. Sungwoo tries to keep everyone together and encourage everyone, but Dawn is falling behind and is out of energy. That's when he steps into the pitfall trap and falls onto the metal spikes. Upon hearing the bunny guide say that the trap has a 0% survival rate, Sungwoo reluctantly agrees to leave Dawn and keep going, all the while being taunted by the bunny. Dawn is bleeding out at the bottom of the pitfall trap, listening to the distant screams of the remaining people while the bunny loudly taunts them, saying more than 10 people have survived and announcing the boss stage. Looks like the main party and Sungwoo are in for a fight. Dawn summons his weapon to him, but is too weak to do anything with it and drops it, thinking about his eventual death. "You can do it, Dawn." Sungwoo takes down the boss with a super strong slash. However, he lost one of his arms in the fight, which the rabbit taunts him for before announcing the next round will begin, diminishing the hopes of the remaining few people of going home. According to the rabbit, the real dungeon game starts now. During the taunting, Sungwoo is getting more and more angry, while the remaining people are injured and tired and simply can't go on. Seeing this, the rabbit decides that for clearing the first stage, everyone gets a reward. Just as he says it, everyone begins recovering all the wounds they have suffered over the course of the stage. Sungwoo even gets his arm back. Yay, go Sungwoo, who I'll refer to as Ryu now that the guide has said his full name. While the guide tries to gather everyone to get to the next stage, Dawn receives the survivor's recovery bonus, just like the rest of the party. So in a way, Ryu did end up saving Dawn like he wanted by killing the boss. Dawn realizes that everyone is about to move stages without him and yells for them to take him too, but they can't hear him. With everyone gone, the dungeon starts to magically reset. Dawn's blood is disappearing, and the trap is resetting itself while he is still down there. Dawn surmises that the dungeon resetting must mean there are other participants about to take part in the first stage. Knowing this, Dawn triggers the trap so no one else will fall in. While Dawn is trying to figure a way out of the pit, the rabbit guide finds him. Oh no! The rabbit complains that he's meant to be dead and explains that he can't take Dawn to the next stage now because things are all messed up, and demands Dawn to open his status window, which shows errors everywhere. The rabbit explains that the dungeon sees Dawn as a death, not a survivor. Dawn tries to convince the rabbit that he can fix the mistake by sending Dawn back home. However, the rabbit decides instead to leave, saying that he'll die in the pit eventually and that will sort it. What a mean bunny, still super cute though. At this point, Dawn is getting sick of being laughed at and treated poorly because of his class and skills he was given at the start of the stage, and instead resolves to survive the dungeon and come up with another way to live. Dawn eats some fish and meat from his inventory before thinking to himself that he can't remain in this pit forever, even if it is relatively safe. Dawn has already tried climbing out, however he can't make it to the next stage because the monsters above will kill him without and fighter class people around to protect him, remembering that Dawn doesn't have fighting skills. Instead, Dawn comes up with an idea to dig a tunnel all to avoid the monsters and get to the end without any danger. Pretty genius. After a while, Dawn has dug quite a bit, however he is getting worried about the collapsing tunnel as well as having nowhere to put the dirt he has been digging, and has a genius idea to start putting sand and dirt into his inventory, which totally works. This way Dawn can dig without being worried about being buried alive, and he doesn't have to carry the loose sand and dirt back and forth, instead shoving it straight into his inventory in one movement. After digging for so long, Dawn unlocks an achievement which comes with a new skill. Master of Sand Blocks, which allows Dawn to collect sand quicker. Usually this would be a pretty useless skill, and even Dawn is pretty disappointed in this skill. Dawn was hoping to get a combat skill instead like Ryu, being envious of him but also feeling guilty because Ryu lost his arm because he was trying to save Dawn. Dawn hopes that Ryu is safe, which as we saw earlier he is, and he even has his arm back. Getting back to work, Dawn tries to collect sand blocks using his new skill and sees that the sand magically turned into a perfect sphere. Above him, the rabbit guide came back to check on Dawn to make sure he's dead and is annoyed because he's officially told Dawn to die peacefully. Laughing it off, the rabbit follows Dawn's tunnel and is amazed at Dawn's determination to survive. The rabbit goes further and further through Dawn's tunnel and is puzzled as to why it's getting wider. Then the rabbit finds torches lining the walls before finally seeing Dawn casually walking around with his dinner. Dawn says hello, which annoys the rabbit, who asks why Dawn isn't dead before seeing everything Dawn has made, including a bed and table with utensils, shelves, tables, and even a fireplace. Dawn is just making the best of his situation, playing Minecraft or something. Dawn starts making a bowl in front of the rabbit and cooks the rabbit dinner. The rabbit guide asks Don if he has any skills, to which Don admits this was all made with his lump of earth skill, which sends the rabbit laughing hysterically at Don before taunting him again and going to leave. The rabbit says that Don can die now, to which Don asks if the rabbit will kill him. The rabbit is hinting that Don will die on his own and claims that it's over. A shake is felt in Don's new home and things start breaking as the rabbit taunts that the next group have cleared stage 1. Don looks mortified as he remembers that when the stage is cleared, the dungeon reset occurs. Oh look, we said the name of the manhwa. Anyway, cursing to himself for forgetting about the reset, Don realizes that the whole tunnel will be reset with him inside and starts sprinting back to the first trap. The rabbit guide taunts him, saying he looks tired as large rocks fall from the tunnel ceiling, hitting Don. Falling to the floor, the rabbit asks if he is giving up, while Don wonders, is it here? Looks like our protagonist has a plan. The rabbit starts going on about how Don has just dug his own grave, literally, before the earthquake stops. Both Don and the rabbit guide wonder if the reset just stopped and why didn't it collapse the tunnel. Don theorizes that because he's technically in error, as established in the previous chapter, that not all the dungeon's laws apply to him. So because Don had dug the tunnel, that terrain is now bugged and the dungeon couldn't reset that space. Some things seem to affect Don, like gaining skills and achievements, however other systems seem to be bugged around him. Don thinks to himself that he's basically a player and not a player at the same time. The rabbit guide interrupts Don's thinking to taunt him again, saying there's a huge monster deeper down if he keeps digging, and also the next reset might collapse the tunnel, so he'll die no matter what. At this point, Don looks visible done with the rabbit's goading and straight up tells the rabbit that he can't kill Don on his own, saying, if you want me to die that much, wouldn't it be fine if you just decapitated me like that other guy? Don is right, the rabbit can't kill him, but the rabbit tries in vain to convince Don that he could. Don thinks to himself that he doesn't know why the rabbit can't kill him, but the rabbit is seemingly powerless to kill now that Don is part of the game. The rabbit guide is starting to look really nervous, even thinking that he's screwed. We're told by the narrator that rabbits are given the authority to kill players only once. They have no means to intervene in the game directly because they are used in the early stages. The rabbit thinks to himself that if Don gets outside and his mistake is detected by the top, he'll be in trouble. Top? Also, rabbits was plural earlier. Does that mean there are more than one rabbit guide? The plot thickens. Just then, a water vein bursted into Don's tunnel due to the reset weakening the tunnel. Don starts to get swept away down the tunnel until Don has the genius idea to jam the hole with dirt, which takes a lot of effort, and to the rabbit's shock, Don pours out dirt and sand from his inventory, such an incredible amount, and just managed to block the hole, much to the rabbit guide's dismay. It's not over yet as Dawn realizes that the patch won't hold for very long. Dawn thinks that just because the default when he uses his lumping dirt skill is spheres, doesn't mean it has to remain a sphere, and after leveling up his skill to level 5, Dawn reshapes the dirt into brick shape just as the water starts flowing out again and successfully fully patches the hole in a stable way. The rabbit is upset that Dawn isn't dead, but also can't help but be amazed that Dawn blocked a water vein with just dirt and his skill. The rabbit is getting more and more worried that Dawn is going to cause a lot of trouble despite not being a combat class. While the rabbit was worrying, Dawn has already solved future water vein problems by creating a deep pond in his tunnel. Now Dawn has a water source that is huge. The rabbit tries to convince Dawn that the water may be poisoned so he shouldn't drink it. However, readers would remember that Dawn's first skill was a purification skill and uses it to get rid of any nasty bacteria or anything else harmful in the water. To further taunt the rabbit, Dawn decides that since there's a nice pond, we need a cool interior too. With this, Dawn starts creating a nice wall around the pond and a water feature in the middle. Now that Dawn has figured out he can use dirt to make any shape he wants, he can build so much more than before. A big level up to be sure. Dawn put a pipe into the water, pushing the water from the pond back into the vein while using the water feature to release water into the pond, thereby creating circulation and in turn lowering pressure. With this, Dawn unlocked another achievement. The pond that has lion fountain on it has been made. Both Dawn and the rabbit guide are super surprised that this is even an achievement. The reward for the achievement is that fishes spawn in any pond Dawn builds. That's a super useful skill, literally infinite food. The new skill is already in effect as fish spawn instantly in the pond. Dawn is super happy as he literally can't starve now, and he has near infinite water. Dawn cries from relief before cooking fish on a grill he has made. The rabbit thinks that he can't believe he's watching someone grill meat in the sacred dungeon, looking defeated. Dawn, being far too kind for his own good, wonders if the rabbit is hungry and offers him food, to which the rabbit insults Dawn again, so Dawn tells the rabbit to leave if he doesn't want any, knowing full well the rabbit won't leave for some reason. Dawn tries to make nice by once again offering fresh cooked food to the rabbit. The rabbit drools upon smelling the meat, but not wanting to be seen as friends with Dawn, rejects it again. Dawn playfully says it's because he can only eat grass because he's a rabbit. After Dawn's feast, he is seen sleeping happily. He deserves it so much. The rabbit guide watches him sleep, seemingly having come up with a plan to kill Dawn, laughing to himself and saying, "I hope you enjoyed your last supper." It seems that the rabbit has lead a monster into the tunnel as Dawn is awoken by the beast sniffing him. Dawn was having a nightmare and ends up waking up punching his fist right into the face of the monster boar. Originally Dawn was dreaming of eating bacon. Looks like he got his wish seeing as there's a big pig boar monster. Dawn tries to plead with the boar, hoping it's like the rabbit and can talk, however it's not. Instead, Dawn remembers that Ryu had been teaching the group how to kill the monsters and thinks that he might be able to beat it. However, Ryu is a fighter class and Dawn is not. Instead of fighting the boar the way Ryu would, Dawn straight up Fortnites it, quickly building a staircase above the boar, forcing it to ram into the wall. The fight continues, with Dawn building more and more walls and standing on top of them, goading the boar to attack the walls, which the boar does, shattering it easily. Dawn instead tries to throw a boulder at the boar, but falls short in hilarious attempt to best the boar. Due to this, the boar gets a good hit on Dawn, knocking him down. Dawn is worried that if the fight continues he'll die and thinks that if he could catch him he would have the meat he desires, calling it a bacon party. Dreaming of this, Dawn finds new resolve to fight and builds a wall, goading the boar to charge again. The boar does so, easily breaking the wall. However, this time, Dawn has dug a pitfall trap behind it, watching the boar fall into the hole, injuring it. The boar gets back up, however is unable to escape the hole and cowers as Dawn throws rocks down and crushes the boar to death, winning the fight. The rabbit was watching the whole fight and is again in amazement at the power Dawn has, making such useless skills so, well, useful. Dawn is cleaning his knife hoping to finally eat some bacon. You could get a lot from the size of that pig. We learn that once survivors clear the first stage of the dungeon, the survivor's skills can level up by using them more often. Basically, use the skill more, it levels up faster. We are also told that skills are earned by those who achieve certain conditions, which we already knew due to Dawn gaining skills from achievements. Due to the absolute power of skills, leveling them is very important in order to clear further stages. However, we see a nameless party be bested by a rock golem, as we are told that leveling skills in a life or death scenario is a difficult thing to do. Back to our protagonist Dawn. Dawn has dug down to where the boar was crushed and prepares it for harvesting because Dawn wants to eat bacon. Dawn notices the bunny guide, showing him his kill, which infuriates the rabbit. Dawn starts harvesting the boar, noting that due to the temperature, the meat will spoil easily, so Dawn needs to use his purify skill to stop the meat from rotting. The rabbit interrupts Dawn, obviously angry at Dawn's success, and Dawn replies that it's hard to try to live in this kind of place alone, which is why Dawn talks to himself a lot about what he's doing. The rabbit actually replies that he understands, both of them silent, feeling some sort of kinship to each other in a weird way. In the morning, we see Dawn has made a new weapon out of the bones and muscles of the boar from the night before. Nope, he made a frying pan to cook meat better. Oh Dawn, you really just care about meat, don't you? Dawn starts cooking, however it's not what we think. Dawn cooks the fat of the boar before pouring it into a container. Fat is useful because it burns well. It's useful for torches, which obviously Dawn needs down here. The rabbit taunts that if there's more light, more monsters will find this place at night. However, Dawn has already thought about this and shows the rabbit as Dawn takes the metal spikes from the pitfall trap out of his inventory and assembles the pitfall trap here. Now Dawn can hunt without issue by simply waiting for monsters to land into the trap. He also keeps a skewer for defense, which is really smart. After another reset, there'll be more skewers, so Dawn can infinitely collect more and more skewers. With this, Dawn exclaims that every day he will enthusiastically eat all the monsters. The rabbit is about to criticize Dawn, but just then, a boar sees Dawn and tries to attack, jumping down the hole, instantly dying on the skewers Dawn laid earlier, proving Dawn's intelligence with this trap. Now Dawn has more fat and bones and, more importantly, food. He really didn't need to eat many fish before figuring a way to infinite meat too. Hey. We see another boar jumping down the hole and dying again before the end of the chapter. Dude is straight up spawn camping boar. The next chapter starts with Dawn complaining that the boars fall way too often and that he's going to get fat by eating so many of them. Just then, Dawn suddenly glows with the same light as earlier when he got an achievement. Before we pivot the story to Ryu, we haven't checked in on him in quite some time. Ryu seems to have just finished a big fight, dual-wielding swords, which is an upgrade from stage 1. The rest of Ryu's party comes out of the forest and meets up with him as they are in awe of the sheer amount of boar he has hunted all by himself. I wonder what his kill count of boar is compared to Dawn? Ryu brushes off his achievement, not wanting to be the center of attention, and asks about their scythe, to which the rest of the party is just apologetic that they had to fight in groups whereas Ryu had to fight alone. They sound like such nice teammates. Ryu gets an achievement for his efforts, however, which he shows to the group. For slaying 100 boars, he gets the Vigor of the Horned Boar skill, which temporarily doubles one's power. It's about 10 seconds with a 100-second cooldown at level 1, so it's pretty good. And everyone seems super jealous, and one party member comments that Ryu is becoming more and more powerful by the day. Another party member is complimenting Ryu heaps, which makes Ryu blush. The party hugs and share a laugh, which makes Ryu blush more before deciding to head back to their base, which seems to be in a cave. The party does comment that it's such a shame that with all that meat on the boars, they can't bring it back because all the monster meat, regardless of the monster, is poisonous and will kill the players. They also mention they have a food shortage due to this fact. This makes Dawn so much more powerful than he thinks. If Dawn can meet up with Ryu and the party, he can save them from starvation. One of the party members, Yun Jinsu, even comments on the fact they miss Brother Dawn as his purification skill got them fed once before. Upon saying this, he gets yelled at by another party member as we pan over to Ryu, and we see that Ryu is really quite cut up about Dawn being gone, presumed dead, and reminds everyone that when the fighting was done and everyone was sad and tired, Dawn was the only one to pull everyone's spirits up and as well as feed them, commenting that Dawn was stronger than all of them in that regard. Others also join in and say they have things made by Dawn which make life easier, and they all miss him. While walking back, they say it's time to go back to the cave and eat some potatoes. The one who found potatoes was also Dawn. It's all thanks to Dawn. That's pretty cute. They all miss him. I hope they meet up again. Back to our protagonist. He's eating the bacon he wanted so dearly, definitely not dealing with starvation. The rabbit guide is upset with Dawn's boasting about how good the food is, and Dawn replies that he knows the meat is meant to be poisonous, so there's no way the rabbit actually knows how good the meat tastes. Dawn taunts that if you purify the meat, the poison is gone and what's left is only rich flavor of pork belly. This angers the rabbit, announcing that he'll kill Dawn someday, while Dawn just laughs at him. Yet another boar falls into the trap, to which Dawn states that their minds must get reset when the dungeon resets, so the pigs respawn and forget that they died to a trap, thereby falling for the same trap over and over. The rabbit flips out, surprised that Dawn starts carrying the dead boar, asking how he got so strong. Dawn just replies that it's a skill that will go away in a bit, announcing that he has the vigor of the horned boar skill, just like Ryu. This confuses the rabbit, as you have to kill boars to gain the skill. This must mean that Dawn's traps count as his own kills. This is amazing for farming monsters and gaining EXP. When Dawn returns from moving the boar, the rabbit is looking stunned, and Dawn asks what's wrong. The rabbit explains that you have to kill 100 boars to get that skill, but in the first stage, there's only 40 boars per reset, so there's no way Dawn should have the achievement, as the kill count is supposed to reset when the stage resets. They come to a conclusion that because Dawn is such a bugged player, his kill count doesn't reset, and Dawn theorizes that if he kills 100 of other monsters, would he get skills from them? The next chapter starts with us seeing a squirrel-looking creature eating bones instead of nuts. The squirrel drops his tiny bone out of the tree on accident and chases after it, finding a hole in the ground under the tree. Following it, the squirrel pops out into Dawn's tunnel. Following the tunnel out of curiosity, the squirrel finds Dawn's main sleeping area where he finds his bone as well as the bones of a boar Dawn had slain, instantly becoming enamored with it. The squirrel then spends a lot of time going back and forth from his nest in the tree to Dawn's cave, collecting and transporting bones piece by piece. One time the squirrel returns, he finds a bowl of tiny bones and jumps into it. When eating one, it tastes better than any bone he's ever had. The squirrel starts gorging himself on the bones, not realizing that the bowl is sitting on the stomach of Dawn, who seems to have fallen asleep after eating some meat, hence the bones. The squirrel is scared of Dawn, and as he leaves, thinks about the bones and how amazing they taste and resolves to stuff his cute cheeks with bones and leave. While doing this, the squirrel doesn't notice Dawn has his eyes open. He wasn't sleeping at all. Instead, he was trying to bait other creatures into the cave. Turns out all the bones the squirrel has been eating has been supplied purposefully by Dawn in order to make a friend. Dawn decides to initiate conversation and asks the squirrel if he will run away, to which the squirrel responds, "Oink, super cute." Dawn reaches slowly, trying to pet the squirrel, and finally manages to bop his head and pets the squirrel, who clearly likes it. While petting the squirrel, a familiar golden light shines.